Well, all right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to I believe, our 14th live show of the year. It's just going to be me for right now, but CJ might be joining us here in a little bit. Um, but a big week to recap and also to preview as we head into conference championship week. A lot of things on the line. The playoff implications are huge this conference championship week, not necessarily with the top conferences, but with the ACC and the group of five. That's where it's really going to be tight. We're going to go over some of the games from rivalry weekend. We are going to go over the college football playoff rankings. I've got my projections for this week. And then we're going to review some of the games coming up this week because there's only about four or five that are really going to be worth reviewing. And then we'll make our picks. So let's get into it. Last week, unfortunately, we weren't able to do a show just because of us being up in Knoxville. It was a crazy weekend, but we did have that recap show from last week that you can go watch. Also, make sure to go check out our newest video that we just posted yesterday. Notre Dame Loudest Moments. Make sure to go check that one out and all our other ones. Those are fun. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into this. So I'm doing something a little bit different today. I've got a slideshow that you guys can look at while we go over this. It's got some stats in it and all that. And the first game that we were going to go over was a big one on Friday. Texas A&M at Texas, 27-17. Texas wins this one, and it was kind of a tale of two halves. If you look at it, Texas really was kind of dull, and they didn't really have a lot going for them in the first half. Only 6 points, I believe, in the first half, and they really just came alive in the second half. Arch Manning looking very good. He had was 14 for 29, 179, one touchdown, 7 carries, 53 yards for a touchdown. And the most important thing with Arch Manning, no turnovers. That was huge for Arch in this one, and it was going to be a key for them to win this game. Marcel Reed had not a very good game, 20 for 32, 180 passing yards, two interceptions, had about 70 yards on the ground. I mean, if you want to have a Heisman run, this is going to be the one that you want to win, or this is a game that you want to win and play good in. And it just never really came together for Texas A&M here in the second half. Looking at it, Contravian Wisner, 19 carries, 155 yards, had almost as many rushing yards as A&M did the entire game. Huge stat there. If Texas was going to want to win, they were going to have to run the ball good, and their defense had to play good. And the defense played spectacular in the second half, and they came alive in the second half offensively. 24 points in the second half, just amazing game from them. Correction, 10 points to 3 after one half of play. So Texas really just poured it on in the second half, looking at it. And so really some more keys to this game were really turnovers, 2 turnovers to 0. Texas A&M losing the turnover battle, just playing sloppy. They didn't look like themselves, but they really didn't look like themselves the last couple of weeks, even against South Carolina. So you could kind of feel like a loss was coming, I feel like, for Texas A&M. And so this really isn't something that you look back on and say this was a mistake from Texas A&M. I just feel like they got outplayed here. This wasn't a game that I felt watching it Texas A&M could win. I mean, just after that second half performance from Texas, I'm not sure how they could have overcame that. I feel like just a really good effort from this Texas team, and we've seen flashes of a really good Texas team throughout the year. And again, I feel like this is the most complete game that they've played all year. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and it's just like I don't think Texas A&M or Texas has played a complete game of football this entire year. And so to see Texas really pour one on against Texas A&M is huge. Playoff implications, I don't think that Texas is going to make it. Looking at the last rankings, you saw they were, I believe, 13th, and that's just too many outside of 12 of where you need to be, because 10-11 is really the cutoff, and I don't see them moving up a whole lot after conference championship weekend. But this is a really big turnaround from where they were just a couple weeks ago. You look at the Mississippi State game, and you see Texas almost lose to Blake Shapen and that Mississippi State squad, and you're just thinking this season's going to go way downhill. They still got to play Georgia, Texas A&M. Uh, that's at least two more losses, and they're able to scrape together a 9-3 season. They didn't look great against Georgia, but impressive performance from Texas in this one. And for Texas A&M, they're still going to make the playoffs. And I think honestly, me and CJ were kind of talking about this Saturday, watching or Friday watching the game, and it's almost like Texas A&M, it might have been in their best interest to lose, because if you look at the standings, if they would have won that game, they would have went to Atlanta, went to the SEC championship, and so that would have not been a bye week for them. And granted, if they would have had the bye week heading into the 12-team playoff, but looking at last year, all the teams who got a bye lost, and I think it's more in the interest of teams to not play in the conference championship and have that home playoff game, which Texas A&M is going to have. So I think it's really in Texas A&M's best interest maybe to lose this game, which I think doesn't benefit the 12-team playoff agenda. But I mean that's what I think, and I think Texas A&M losing this game honestly might just help them because it gives them something to go off of. What they need to improve off of. They get a bye week and they get a home playoff game, probably against either Virginia or one of the two Group of Five teams that's going to make it. Because if Virginia loses to Duke, then two Group of Five teams go in. So I don't think this is a bad loss for Texas A&M, but it was a bad performance, and I think there's a lot to improve on for Mike Elko, especially over the last 2 weeks, even including the South Carolina game. But good win from Texas here, and pretty pretty interesting game, I'd say. Watching it as well. All right. Well, the next game that I'm going to cover is the game that me and the boys were at last weekend. Vanderbilt at Tennessee. If you check the Instagram, we were on site last week in Knoxville for a top 20 matchup. It was a very exciting first half. Second half, maybe not so much because Vanderbilt just rolled. And this is kind of the same story, different font, you could say, because this is a very tight first half, 24 to 24, no, 21 to 21, excuse me. And Vanderbilt really rolled in this second half like we haven't seen uh, them do a whole lot this year. This was really not the typical Vanderbilt game. It felt like because Vanderbilt just really dominated, and it felt like in all the other games they were kind of just hanging on. They were, you know, their defense was really doing all the heavy lifting, and their defense did a lot of heavy lifting here. But it's also their offense that really poured on some points here in the second half. It was a very impressive performance from Diego Pavia. 268, one touchdown. He did have two interceptions, which I'll get to that. 20 carries, 165 rushing yards, and a touchdown. I think this performance sealed his spot in New York. Just looking at it, I mean, I believe that's about 400 yards all purpose. That was more than Tennessee had all game. I can tell you that. Cedric Alexander, 10 carries, 115 rush yards, three touchdowns. That was impressive. Uh, and Joey Aguilar did what he had to do, it felt like, in this game. It just wasn't enough. 29 for 44, 299, one touchdown in this one. And he didn't look incredibly horrible. It's just really when you look at the second half, Tennessee only got four possessions. And in those four possessions, one of them was a field goal, and the rest of them were three and outs, I believe. I'll have to go check that. But just not an impressive second half performance from Tennessee. It was both their last two drives were on turnover on downs. But just the play calling in the second half was much to be desired, it felt like, from Tennessee. Just looking at it, Vanderbilt really was able to roll in the second half and win the time of possession and just be a more dominant football team, which I think when you're talking about Vanderbilt football, uh, you don't really expect to hear that. But that's what it is. That's what this game was. 24 to 3 in the second half for Vanderbilt. Time of possession was huge. Vanderbilt 35 minutes Tennessee 25. So just a very, very dominant game from Vanderbilt. Uh, Explosive first half though. Just thinking about Vanderbilt having those turnovers in the first half, and just the reaction from the Tennessee crowd. It was an electric game. Uh, every game in Neyland's amazing. This one was really great too. Even though Tennessee lost, I love going down there. Hope to be there next year. Amazing atmosphere, amazing game, and amazing performance from Diego Pavia. I think this was a Heisman clincher for him, uh, but a kind of a shocking result, just with the two interceptions from Diego Pavia. I felt like the key to the game for Vanderbilt was not turning the ball over, and they did that. They did that in the first half, and they still were able to be tied 21-21. They had a clutch, about 2 minutes, 1 minute left in the second quarter. They were able to get a touchdown. That was huge. And it was just a really impressive second half, like I said. So Vanderbilt, and kind of like Texas, they got ranked behind Texas actually. So I don't think there's any way that Vanderbilt gets into the playoff. Unfortunately, there's just too many teams kind of bunched up there, and they needed a little bit more to happen. They needed Alabama to lose. They needed Notre Dame or Miami to lose. And they can still get BYU to lose, but there's not enough movement in front of them for them to get in, which is unfortunate because I feel like uh, if you flip flop Alabama and Vanderbilt's resumes, I feel like there's an argument for them to be at 10. Or no, not their resumes, their names. I feel like Vanderbilt's getting kind of discredited just because of their name and because of the expectations placed upon them. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Vanderbilt really nothing hang your head down about. This is a really good season and a really good game from them. So we will move on to the game. College game day was here. Ohio State at Michigan, and Ohio State rolls in this one, 27-9. This was not a tale of two halves. This was not a second half explosion. This was a complete domination, it felt like, throughout the game. Ohio State really did roll here. Julian Sayin keeps on proving why he should be in New York. Uh, 19 for 26, 233, three touchdowns, early interception, but he recovered from that one really well. Bryce Underwood, not a good day. Eight for 18, 63 yards, one interception. Just not what you want here. And it felt like watching this game that Michigan just could not finish anything. They couldn't finish drives. They couldn't finish outplay plays at some points. Like it's just the offense was very stagnant, and what they needed to do was really win the time of possession battle. What you see at the bottom, they did not do. They did not have a necessarily good performance defensively either. They held their own in some drives, but just some explosive plays got to them. Uh, you look at third down conversion rate, 10 for 17 for Ohio State, 1 for 9 for Michigan. Horrible, horrible from them there. And then time possession, kind of like what I mentioned, 40 minutes for Ohio State, 19 minutes and 59 seconds for Michigan. Horrible ratio there. The run game, Bo Jackson outran Michigan this game, which was not good. Michigan was going to have to dominate Ohio State rushing the ball. And historic fact, I believe every game in the 21st century, the team who ran for the most yards won the game. Ohio State ran for the most yards in this game. So just very, very disappointing for Michigan. If they won this game, they were going to be in the playoffs. But this wasn't a playoff caliber team if you watched them. It felt like this was a more run dominant team who depended on their defense. And Bryce Underwood just was not able to carry his own weight. And it felt like if this team was to be a playoff team, he would have to carry his own weight, and he just didn't. And so I don't think this is a disappointing first season for Bryce Underwood. He's still a true freshman, but he was asked to do a lot. But I believe that he had to do more to win this game, and he just didn't. This was a complete domination from Ohio State. in every single aspect. And it's going to be very interesting to watch them against Indiana. We'll get to that later, but just a very, very dominant performance from Ohio State here, and not a whole lot else to really talk about here. So we will move on now to our last game that we'll talk about, and that was the Iron Bowl. A very entertaining one again at Jordan Hare. Uh, every time it's at Jordan Hare, something interesting happens, and this one was no exception. A very entertaining game. Ty Simpson, 19 for 35, 122 through the air, 3 touchdowns. Not a particularly great performance. Ashton Daniels, though, has to get like the MVP or something here. 18 for 39, 259, 1 touchdown, an interception, and then 100 rushing yards to just pile on with that. So, impressive game from him. Uh, and then just a really, really odd game just with if you look at the box score, if you were only to look at the box score in this game, uh, you would think, okay, Auburn completely outpassed. They did everything they needed to do here against Alabama to win, and they just didn't. And I think a lot of that is to do with them playing from behind, and then also the turnovers. I feel like the turnovers were a big part of this game. If you go back a couple of weeks to the Alabama-Oklahoma game, Alabama outgained Oklahoma and everything, but they lost the turnover battle, and I feel like that was huge. Uh, Alabama did run the ball okay, but this was a very kind of, if you were looking at it at a graph, it was up, down, up, down, up, down. You look at Alabama's drives, it would be either really super long drives that ended up scoring or 3 and outs. And that's kind of the Alabama offense. It feels like they're either bust or boom, and I think that's not going to hold up in the playoffs. I don't think this is going to be necessarily a deep run, but the defense really held up in this game, especially in the first half. Alabama went up 17-0 early, really kind of thought this game was over. But Auburn really did fight back. They got a couple good explosive plays off of this Alabama defense. It did feel like Auburn really couldn't drive it that well on Alabama till maybe the end of the game. But the problem is that Alabama really didn't let them have a lot of cracks at their defense. That big final drive of the game was huge for Alabama. I believe it was an 8-minute drive or something, and just ended up in a touchdown, huge. And then that final turnover that really sealed the deal was huge for Alabama. But Auburn really did try to mount a comeback. I think it would have been historic if they were able to do that, but just not really in the cards for them. Uh, but impressive game from the Alabama defense, able to get those turnovers and able to really mount give Ashton Daniels and this Auburn offense a chance to mount the comeback against Alabama. And so, impressive game. Um, and I mean, it was really entertaining to watch. So, for Alabama, they needed to win this game to make the playoff, and they did. And so now the question is, if they lose the SEC championship, will they be dropped out? I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'll make that call later in the episode, but just not really. This Alabama team the last couple of weeks really hasn't impressed me a whole lot. Even dating back to the South Carolina game, since then it's just really not been impressive to me, and they've kind of felt like a different team ever since they went on that stretch of ranked wins. And so I'm not sure. This Alabama offense has never been that complete. They've never really had a good run game. They did have a good amount of running in this one, 158, but just I don't know. It's kind of there's a lot of talk about how Alabama's in no matter what. I don't know about that, but it's a very interesting argument. And so with that, that is all for the recap section of the live show. But now we will move on to some of our predictions, or I will go to some of our predictions for the conference championship games. This is these are some of the big games this week that I'm looking at uh, for conference championship week that I'm going to go over here. And we'll start off with the Big Ten championship, Ohio State versus Indiana. It's a 1 versus 2. And the bad thing about this game is that it really doesn't matter because both of these teams are going to have first round buys. It feels like they're both 12-0. There's really no point of playing this game. It feels like, and that kind of stinks because uh, that's what the 12-team playoff has done to these type of matchups. And uh, I think it's it really does stink for the 12-team playoff to do this to these type of games because this could be a really really good game with really high stakes, and maybe they'll meet up again in the national championship semifinals. I don't know, but it's just it's very sad to kind of see this this happen to a 1 versus 2 matchup, and like nobody's really hyping it up because it does not matter. But I do think this is going to be a really interesting game. Uh, it's going to be a really big test for Ohio State's run defense. I know Michigan kind of tested them with that as well, but they didn't have Justice Haynes. So I think Indiana has one of the best run defenses in the country, or run offenses in the country. They have a pretty good run defense too, and so I think it's going to be a very interesting test for Ohio State. And then on top of that, Indiana has a really good quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. He's a Heisman candidate too. And so I think it's going to be just a big test for Ohio State's defense. I think Indiana has a really good defense too, and I'm really interested to see what they do because I think they have a better defense than Michigan. And Michigan really held their own. I felt like against Ohio State, they let up a couple big explosive plays, um, and definitely were teetering. But I think I'm liking Indiana kind of in this one. I won't make my pick yet, but I think Indiana really has some big time. They have some. They have a big time chance to get the 1 seed and really roll. But then again, there's the argument where you just say, okay, we're not going to put our guys out here. We're going to put out our second strings, or we're going to put out our third strings. We're not going to want to because if it comes to a point where Julian Sane gets hurt or Fernando Mendoza gets hurt, and they're not able to play the rest of the year, and not in the playoffs, I think you're going to start to see Big Ten and SEC teams just start to boycott the conference championship because it's like, what's the point if both of the teams are going to make the playoffs and we have no benefit other than maybe getting a bye in the first round of the playoffs, which honestly I'm not convinced is really an advantage because the other teams get a full week of full extra week of prep heading into the game. So I'm not sure, but I do think this is going to be a really interesting game, and I'm going to be debating on watching this. I am debating on going to the ACC championship, so we'll see. But next up, we're going to talk about the SEC championship. This is Georgia versus Alabama. We just talked about Alabama and their chances of making the playoff if they win this, if they lose this one. But they can have a really good chance of winning this game. I mean, 2 months ago they beat this team, so I think this is a very interesting game. Alabama's going to have a really good chance of winning this one, but I think this is a better Georgia team than we saw last. I think Gunnar Stockton has improved a lot throughout the season. He's looking to be a really good guy heading into this one. I think Georgia's defense is really great. Their run game's good. Nate Frazier, I love him. And so this is really a more complete team than when we last saw them play Alabama. And I think this is a worse Alabama team. So I think this is really favoring Georgia, but I would not count out Alabama because their defense has been shown to be really, really good throughout the last couple of weeks. And so it's going to be very interesting. I think the big key to this game is, can Alabama run the ball against Georgia? I don't think they will be, but if they can, then I think it's going to be a whole different ball game because I think Ty Simpson's better than Gunnar Stockton, and I think that Alabama's pass game is really good. It's just, can that run game open up and really open up the offense? That's going to be something that I'm going to look forward to in this one, and then the turnover battle. I think if Alabama can get a couple turnovers off of Georgia, I think that's going to be huge. They're definitely going to need a couple of them to beat this Georgia team, I feel like. And yeah, I think that's going to be huge. Next up, we got the Big 12 championship. Texas Tech versus BYU. We saw this matchup about a month ago, and Texas Tech really just slapped the wheels off of BYU. Um, huge game for BYU. Texas Tech, they're in no matter what, but BYU on the bubble, they need this win. If they win this, they're squarely in. If they lose, they're out. So I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think Joe Destor's on the call in this one, so that one's going to be fun. Um, but yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I think BYU is going to have to run the ball really well against Texas Tech. I think their defense played fairly well against Texas Tech, being able to stop them in the red zone. But I think that they weren't able to run the ball well at all, and that put a lot of pressure on Bear Bachmeier, their true freshman quarterback. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see if they can run the ball this time against Texas Tech or not. I think LJ Martin's going to have a uh, big sack to carry on his back in this one to carry the team. But Bear Bachmeier's improved. I think this BYU team is playing some of their best ball right now. And on a neutral field, I feel like it could really help this BYU team survive and advance. I think if you're the Big 12, you're telling Texas Tech to just forfeit this game, and that's what I don't like about this 12-team playoff. And I'm kind of dogging on it a little bit this live show, but like I don't like these. I don't see the point of these conference championships. Almost uh, sue me, but like, wouldn't it just make sense for like the Big 12 commissioner to like call Joey McGuire and just be like, "Hey, dude, just throw this game to BYU. Like, you can kind of make it close, but like, let's just have both of them in." It'd be fun if BYU won, and then we have two Big 12 teams in. Uh, I I just don't get it. Like the same thing with the SEC. Same, I mean, same thing with the ACC. The ACC could just be like, "Hey, Duke, just lose to Virginia." We'll get to that game. That's kind of a transition, but like these conference championship games can be fixed. I feel like almost just because of the outcome of the game, and they're played at different times, and it's just I don't know. I don't like it, but anyway, off to the ACC championship. I'm debating on going. We'll see, but uh, Virginia versus Duke. This is the nightmare scenario for the ACC. I feel like you look at it, and I still I've been looking at the tiebreaker all week, and I don't understand how Duke made it to the ACC championship. And we can debate on tiebreakers and how they stink and all those things, and that'll be a different episode, but or a different thing that I talk about later. But just now, Duke's in the ACC championship. If they win, they're certainly not getting into the playoff. I think at least there's a conversation to be had if a couple things happen. But if they win the ACC championship, the ACC might be out of the playoff. Uh, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. You look at the last game they played. Virginia whooped Duke 34-17, and I think it could really be close. I think Darian Mensah is a really good quarterback. I think that this Duke team has been improving over the last couple of weeks. They just beat Wake Forest 49-32, and if Duke's going to win, it's going to be a high-scoring ball game, and that's the thing that Virginia is not really good at. They're really good at grinding out low-scoring victories. I mean, you look at the last couple of weeks, and you look at their last couple of score boxes; they haven't been high scoring. So I think this is not a death sentence for Virginia because they have been playing their best ball over the last couple of weeks, and they did just beat Duke 34-17. Um, and I think it's really going to be the key factor here is Virginia's defense. I think if they're able to hold Darian Mensah here and not let them explode how they usually do, I think this could be a easy open open shut case for Virginia. But I also think that if Duke is able to blow the top off this Virginia offense or defense, I think this could be a really, really interesting game. Um, and I think that's what the ACC, everybody in the ACC doesn't want to happen is Duke win. There's also a debate with Miami and Notre Dame. We'll get to that, but I mean, the ACC could just not be in the playoff, which is crazy. But yeah, I don't know how this happened, how Duke got in, like I said, but it happened, and then it's a possibility. Now, talking about the American, this is going to be very interesting. Tulane, I feel like, has kind of been overranked as the season has gone on, uh, or the last couple of weeks at least. And I feel like this is North Texas's opportunity to showcase themselves. I think Drew Mestamaker and this North Texas team, uh, especially their offense, is really great. And I think this is going to be kind of a shootout. Um, I've seen Jake Retzlaff play, and he's kind of looks inconsistent. It feels like at some points you look throughout the season. So it really depends on which Tulane team we're going to get, but also uh, if the North Texas defense can step up. That's going to be very important. And I think if North Texas's defense plays semi um, competent, I think that this is a no question North Texas win just because I like their offense more. But I think that it could really go either way. Um, and so this is a toss up. This is going to be a very interesting matchup on a Friday night, tomorrow night. Um, so I think that this is going to be very interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. Uh, I'm looking forward to that matchup. I'm looking forward to all these matchups. It's just kind of a shame that the 12-team playoff has undervalued some of these games, and it is what it is. That's what you get with expansion. But I was kind of really looking forward to not to these big matchups having stakes, and they just don't have stakes, and I knew that. Some people didn't know that. Some people were shocked that expanding the playoff and it makes the conference championships meaningless. Yeah, it does. Unfortunate, but that's what college football is now. Anyway, we will now move on to the college football playoff top 25 rankings for this week. I'm kind of messing with the features here. Hold on. Ooh, you get rid of me? Okay. We'll do this one. This one's oh well, I'm blocking out. Hold on. I'm blocking out Houston. Okay, I'll put them there. But also just to let you know, make sure to put a comment down if you want to on your opinions on any of this. I'll respond to them. I'm nice. I like me talking to people. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also make sure to just leave your comments down. But now we're going over the college football playoff top 25. This is the most recent version of them. Uh, Texas Tech now in the top four. That means that they could possibly get a first round bye. Huge implications there for them if they win against BYU. Uh, Oregon at five. That's huge. Nothing really changed here in the top three. I think Georgia did move up one because of the Texas A&M loss, but the top five remains kind of the same. Just moved up one. Ole Miss was very interesting to look at just because of the Lane Kiffin situation, which we will get to here in a minute. And here is possibly the man of the hour as we start talking about the top 25 rankings. It's CJ Gray. How are you doing, CJ?
What is up, Cooper? I am so sorry I couldn't make it for the first half of the show, but
It's
hey.
okay. It's okay. It's fine. You
Yeah,
know,
I trended on you. Something came up. Well, guys, this would have been an in-person deal like planned if Trent didn't flake on us. So, me being at home, Mom needed me to run an errand. Happens. But
Wow, unbelievable. Trent's
yeah,
Mr. Flake, but it's okay. Well, maybe next time. Maybe next time will come. But
maybe next
who
time.
knows? There's no
Yeah.
guaranteeing with that man. But anyway, we are talking about the top 25 rankings. Um, and so, CJ, I will pass this off to you here. I was kind of going over them, but kind of looking over the top 25, is there anything that kind of sticks out to you here as we are 1 week away from the final top 25 rankings?
We are. And I'd like to honestly, I'm waiting to see more head-to-heads really like start to matter and take place as we saw the committee say they do things in like sections. So I'm excited to see Miami, Notre Dame get in that same section to see if Miami might be able to take a playoff spot from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I
Something
don't think theirs
interesting
is
to
more
point.
deserving, but
Yeah.
it would be
I
nice to see this happen so we can see what's going to happen for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's going to be interesting here is you look at the team right in the middle of Notre Dame and Miami, and that's BYU. And whether they win
Mhm.
or lose, they're going to move up or down. And so we will see most likely Notre Dame and Miami right next to each other. And so that's really
Mhm.
going to tell us, do they now magically move up Miami a spot now, 5 weeks after they rank them below Notre Dame for the first time? What I don't
Which
get
I
the
think really
logic.
doesn't make sense.
I don't get the logic there, but I think they should have already been above Notre Dame just because you have to kind of, I feel like you got, especially when you're fighting for a playoff spot and you have the same record and you honestly kind of have the same resume. Um, like I feel like head to head should matter even if it's week one, because if you're just not going to count week one games, what's the point of playing in September? I feel like but I think that's a very interesting debate. Um, and then you look at Texas and Vanderbilt, 13 and 14. They are honestly kind of eliminated at this point, just because they're not playing games this weekend. And
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's honestly kind of crazy how Vanderbilt didn't even move up for beating a top 20 team. Uh, but I mean, that I guess that's how the cookie crumbles with that. But I feel
To
like
me,
if
as a
they had
Tennessee
a
fan, I feel like that's kind of disrespect. I feel like we're just not valued as a win when I think our only losses have been two playoff caliber teams.
well, yes, yep. I mean, they are a really good ball club. I mean, it's just very unfortunate how Vanderbilt's kind of been assessed, because all of their top 25 wins have now kind of fallen out of the top 25, which that's not Vanderbilt's fault. Um, that LSU kind of fell off a cliff after they lost to them. How Missouri uh, had their quarterback injured. I mean, it's not their fault, but I mean, there's also fair assessment with how their schedule was a little bit weaker, and then Texas. I mean, too. I think they're kind of now regretting scheduling that Ohio State game early in the year. Uh, because if they didn't schedule that one and schedule a very easy opponent, they'd be 10-2, and there'd be a debate for them to be in. So it's very tricky. I feel like for Texas and Vanderbilt, but I think at the end of the day, keeping them out is probably, I mean, the best.
I
The
mean, I know
best.
head to head matters, but I feel like if we were going just based off the eye test, as the college football committee likes to say, I think that Vanderbilt is head and shoulders above Texas and Miami based off of their last game.
Yeah, I yeah, I think if you look at it, I think Miami has been playing their best ball right now. I think Texas is playing their best ball right now, and I think Vanderbilt's playing their best ball right now. And looking at all three teams, it's just kind of tough. Uh, I mean, it's just a very tough way to go about it. I think if anybody's to be ranked the lowest, I think it's Texas. I think you have to go off of record at this point and just put the 9-3 team at 14. I think you put Vanderbilt at 13 maybe, and then you put Miami at 12. You might even put Vanderbilt at 12. I'm not sure, but I think that grouping right there of Miami, Texas, and Vanderbilt's a little bit. Um, shaky. And I think the rule I think should be if you have the same record head to head should matter. I think if you don't, I think uh I mean there's obviously some exceptions, but I think if you don't have the same record, I think head to head should be valued a little bit less, I feel like. But Notre Dame and Miami have the same
Yeah,
record and they have
definitely.
the same wins. They have the same I mean Notre Dame, it's just tough. It's tough. Notre Dame
This
has the
is
win
it,
against UIs.
I think for the past couple of years we can just say it's like I feel like every like because we haven't been doing this show but for this year, but like we've all been watching me, Trent, and Cooper been watching college football for like our whole lives, and then together for like
Yeah.
the past probably 4 years, like in like a together setting. And I think every year we say this is the weirdest year of college football we've seen yet, ever since the change of like the college football playoff year in and year out. And it's just this right here, Miami at 12 and Notre Dame at 10, because of a very oddball reason. You just like you don't see that. And I just want to see like how it's going to shake out so we can like compare it to years in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to be fair, you look at
Because I
years
remember back in
prior.
middle school when we were all talking about college football, 14
Yeah.
playoff. This would have never been like a conversation,
No.
especially head to
See,
head, same
yeah.
record. This would never be like a no,
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, none of these teams are going to win the national championship. Like,
no,
and
they're not.
I
And I
mean,
feel like
and it's kind of
for that
silly.
reason, you need to be fair for these like 8 to
Yes.
12 spots.
Yes. Yes. I think it's definitely, it's tough, but I mean, 4 years ago, we wouldn't be debating about these teams. And I think
Mm.
now it's just like it's very, it's a very different era. And I think the committee just wants the best teams in now that they know that two of their spots are going to be taken up by a group of five teams. And so I think
Which is
that's going to be
insane.
what's going to be interesting is if two group of five teams get in, who does the committee put in those last two bubble spots? Are they going to go off of merit or are they going to go off of who they think is the best because
I think they go
their
with
spots are
whichever
limited?
option makes the most money, and they will go with that option. But
And which is something
I
else I want to get. Hold on, I'll let you go.
okay, thank you. But I think it needs to go to not merit. Merit doesn't matter to these G5 teams when you've been playing. Like merit obviously matters. Handling your business during the season, great. That's the old way of college football. I think the eye test and merit should go like hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like I think the best team with the best merit. Like you can't just pick one or the other. Like you're never going to get a or B. It's like a 1A and a 1B.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both should be mixed in, but I think more kind of like what you were talking about with the last couple of spots. I think it definitely should be more merit based because I think this is a season long race. Um, this is a season long effort to get to the playoff, and so I think when you devalue that and go off of what somebody may have done in the beginning of the season or end of the season. You have to look at the whole season. I feel like and look at what a team has done. And so I think that's kind of the argument for Miami, and I think for Notre Dame, they're kind of just arguing, well, we're better than them now. So put us in, which I wouldn't. I don't blame them for arguing that because guess what? The committee's done that 1,000 times, or not 1,000 times, but they've done that before, where they just say, okay, well, this team's better than this team, probably. We're going to put them in, and we're going to just disregard the regular season. Um, so I think that's definitely a cause for them to argue. Um, Now, something else I want to get to is Alabama. There's been a lot of debate with them about will they be dropping out of the playoff if they lose to Georgia. CJ, what's your take on that?
So there's been a big like thing about the college football playoff saying that conference games don't matter. So that's good to know for like fans like us, but we don't really know what that means. We don't know like the mold that they have of how much it matters, how much it doesn't. Because I say if Alabama goes and knees out the clock and loses by 30 in this conference championship, they don't deserve to be in the playoff. So I think the conference championship somewhat does matter, but like I don't really know how like if is it going to be based off of just eye test? Say if they only lose by 3 points, they lose 32-29, they still get in. Like we just don't know, and I feel like this just kind of it leaves a lot of uncertainty on the table, especially for teams 8 through 12. So,
Well, see, here's the
but even
thing. A lot of
on
people,
the flip side, if they win, do they move up? And then
yeah.
that screws 1 through 8, and we just don't know. And I think we could. I wish we had something like set in stone that we could just go off of, but we don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing is people are saying even if Alabama loses, you can't have a team in the SEC championship not make the playoff, and I think that's just kind of
Because we have too
irrelevant.
many teams for one.
I think that's irrelevant. I feel like almost because so you're saying this game doesn't matter if they lose, but if they win, you would jump them up into a top four spot to have a bye.
Yeah,
But
there's
if
no consequence
but if
here.
they lose, the game, they stay in. I don't think it makes sense. I think if you look at the body of their season, I think there's argument for a lot of teams to be in over them right now, um, just because of the way they've played the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think, and if you look at the start of the season where they lost to Florida State, I think that's another reason for you to drop Alabama out. And so they had that good stretch, but then since then it's just been very non-convincing. And so I think they need to win this week just to guarantee their spot. I don't know what the committee's going to do. I would say I would judge it based off of how the game plays out, but I don't know. I really don't know right now. So, but I think if it would be obvious if Alabama was to be out of the playoff, it felt like if like I feel like everybody would know. I feel like that's where I'm
I
going.
wouldn't I wouldn't be against it, but like I also like I see both sides of the argument. And that's like
Yeah,
but you can see a lot of that with like both of these teams. I feel like even with I'll make the cut right at Utah at 14. I think for teams 1 through 14 have an argument for the playoff.
yeah. And North
But
Texas
no,
and James Madison,
I
they
mean
have
two G
bids,
fives, two G5s.
and
Yeah, I mean
and
yeah, like
and Virginia, and Virginia.
yeah. I mean you can make Virginia's case, but they have a good merit-based like resume, and I still don't think Virginia belongs in the playoff because like that's where the eye test comes in a little bit. Because like if you look at them play their games, it looks like they're trying to lose every single game they play.
Yeah.
So like we can't just have like A and B. It needs to be like 1A, 1B of merit and eye test.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know. What I do
I
know
don't, we're
is
never gonna get it right because I feel like even it doesn't matter how many teams we're gonna have. We could have 20-team playoff. And then teams 1 through 22 are still going to have a case for the playoff with two
yeah.
free G5 bids
Yep.
somehow.
Yep. I agree. Well, I did make my projected 12 that I think are going to make the playoff. And here they are right here. I have Ohio State number one. I think they're going to beat Indiana. Uh, I mean, this is really a toss-up game, kind of like what I talked about before. I do think
Are you
Indiana has a really
saying
good.
for your rankings? Are you implying that
I
conference
am
games
project.
matter?
This is a college football playoff corner or college football corner projection ranking.
Okay,
So
so are
this
you
is
like
the,
this
these
isn't
are the
like say
these are the 12 teams that I think will make the playoff on Sunday.
on Sunday, and you
Yes,
are you saying that like conference champions don't?
CJ Gray. CJ Gray froze. I don't know what to tell you guys. Um, I think CJ got stuck on one of his words. I don't know, but anyway, this is a projection ranking. I'm projecting who's going to win each conference championship game, and I'm going to put that in and factor that into my 12 teams that I think that are going to make the playoffs. So Ohio State number one, I think they're going to be. I think that's the safe projection. I want these projections to be right, so I'm going to just project what I think is going to be right. Oh, and CJ's back.
Yeah, my freaking MacBook just died. I thought it was plugged up.
Womp womp.
I know, right?
Is my MacBook? Okay, my MacBook's still good.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
So I was asking, like, is this like, have you like already thought of the conference games, who's won, who's lost, and does that
yes,
matter
yes, I
in
have.
these? Okay.
Yes,
And
it
do
does.
those matter in these rankings?
I think they do. I mean,
Okay.
it depends. I mean, I'll kind of go through it, but yes.
Hmm.
Um, so Ohio State will beat Indiana. Um, that's my just safe kind of projection. I want these projections to be right, so I'm gonna.
That means Julian Sand wins the Heisman, by the way. Whoever wins that game in the playoff, probably.
I
Well,
don't know,
no.
Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude.
Georgia.
Hey,
Georgia at 2. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna win. Oh
that's
no 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 no
Smoky.
no
Smoky.
no no no. Georgia at 2. I think they're gonna win the SEC championship. So I have them in the second spot. I have Texas Tech at 3. I think they're going to win the Big 12. Uh, Indiana at 4. I think they still have a bye, but I think they get knocked down to 4. And I think that would be interesting because then if both of those teams win their playing games, I believe they would play each other. So that would, or well, is that correct? Yes, that is correct. I was kind of thinking about the playoff for a second. Oregon stays at 5. I have Texas A&M over Ole Miss. I know that the playoff has it where Ole Miss is ranked ahead of Texas A&M for some reason. I think that's stupid. Um, I think just you look at it overall, Texas A&M situation is better than Ole Miss, and also I think they're a better team. I don't know why Ole
Yeah,
Miss is ranked ahead of
I
Texas
like
A&M.
how like you have that because like not to call it a Jordan Travis situation because I feel like that gets kind of like overused a lot, but like missing a very good head coach is a huge like I wouldn't say huge, but like they definitely deserve to be under Texas A&M, who arguably already like with Lane Kiffin had a better resume than Ole Miss.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I guess they're just trying to like make sure to let Ole Miss fans know you're not putting you out of the playoff. But I think Texas A&M. It's a little bit of an overreaction to drop them 4 spots for a loss that other teams have already had. So I think it's just I think if Texas A&M loses 2 weeks ago, I think they're ahead of Ole Miss. I don't know, but that's
Yeah,
just
they
me.
like to have a recency bias, which is good,
Yeah,
but I'd say when it comes closer to like playoff time, it gets a little
yeah.
much.
I think Oklahoma is that goes to 8. I think Oklahoma should still be in the playoff. And then this is what's interesting. I have BYU dropping out. I have that meaning BYU dropping down puts Miami and Notre Dame right next to each other, and I have Notre Dame falling behind Miami because of the head to head and because of their similar resumes. So
I
I have
just think
Miami
that's
at
gonna get so like when we get to spots 8 through 12 on Sunday, that's gonna be a like hectic.
yeah, it is. I think Miami though deserves to be at 9. I think Alabama at 10. I'm not sure what's going to happen with them, but I think it'll be a close game, and I think that's just going to be good enough for them to stay um, at 10. I think I don't know what the committee's going to do. I personally might drop them out and put in like Notre Dame. I think that'd probably be their dream scenario if they put Miami and Notre Dame both in the playoff. But I'm not sure. And then I do have Virginia beating Duke. They've already done it one time before this year. I think if they lose to Duke, that's where it's going to get crazy. But I think if Virginia just beats Duke, we're okay. We're
So
fine.
if Virginia loses, right, I think another G5 team has a spot there.
Uh,
And then
well, here's what's interesting. If James Madison loses to Troy,
uh-huh.
then that's where it all gets crazy because then you have 2 lost group of 5 teams, and you have a UNLV team who's 10-2. You have a Boise State team who's 8-4. You have a Kennesaw State team, Miami of Ohio, and it's just like, where's that fifth bid going to come into? Are they going to value maybe a Duke team who's got 6 Power 4 wins, or are they going to value a 2-loss Group of 5 team? That's what's going to be
But I
interesting.
feel like which way do they lean? Because like merit, and I feel like you can't just go all merit because like you probably have to go with the Power Five and Duke. Duke is basically a G5. I'm not advocating for Duke, but I'd say I don't like it. Just gets so insane, and I feel like if Virginia loses, then the obvious choice is going to be James Madison. But if James Madison loses, then like everything
Yeah.
just breaks loose.
I mean, I feel like there could be a scenario where where Duke makes a playoff just because of and it's very small
No, and there's like
chance.
a
It include
70% chance that Virginia loses this game. This isn't free.
It's not free. I think the point spread on it's like 2.5, but like
If
I
James
think
Madison handles business, they have a very good chance
yeah.
at a playoff spot.
And by the way, James Madison's like a 20-point favorite, but I'm just saying
Yeah, like Troy's bad,
there's
but
like like there's a small chance that like we could get really messy. But I have Virginia beating Duke, and then I have North Texas beating Tulane. I think Tulane's been a little bit overrated. But and you can make the argument, well, John Summerall's, almost he's still coaching, but he's not really there. But like all of these Group of 5 teams have been shaken up. That's what's going to be interesting to watch is how these Group of 5 teams play, because even James Madison's uh, coach left. He left for UCLA. Now they're getting Billy Napier, but that's going to be James Madison, Billy Napier. That's going to be crazy. Um, but yeah, those are my projections um, for the college football playoff that's coming up very soon. Um, anyway, now we will move on to our second to last segment, and that is the coaching carousel craziness that has happened over the last couple of weeks, and it culminated on Sunday. It felt like Lane Kiffin to LSU, Pete Golding
did that just
to
happen
Ole.
today?
What
Billy Napier to James Madison?
it did?
I
Yep,
didn't even, I was looking at when you said that, and I was like, dude, 2 hours ago, that just because I was driving. Dude,
yep.
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
It
gosh.
is. It is.
Dude, real blind reaction right there. Dude, I didn't even know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you just
Yep.
dropped the bomb like that. I was like, my gosh. I mean, that's gonna get wicked. You go from
That's gonna
Florida
get
and then you
wicked.
go to James Madison. Jeez.
Yep. 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 Anyway, looking at all these names on here, CJ, if you had to make a projection, which coaching hire is going to turn out the best, and then which coaching hire is going to turn out the worst out of all of these, or you could make like a Group of 5 pick or whatever. I mean, if you've got that much ball knowledge, which I don't think you
I do have some Group of 5 ball knowledge, but
do.
I won't I can't just make a pull from the G5 just to make it seem like I have ball knowledge. Because I don't think anybody
Okay.
in the G5 will like, yeah, like you only get a
Okay.
couple good G5 coaches every once in a while.
Okay.
But honestly, I love Alex Golish. And I think that I don't think it's going to turn out the best, but I hope this one turns out the best. And I hope that Byron Brown has a good year next year. And I hope that Byron Brown goes with them to Auburn. And I would like to see Byron Brown succeed. That's just me being a little biased because we both like Byron Brown. But
Yeah.
I think the easiest pick here is going to be Lane Kiffin at LSU, just because Lane Kiffin, as much as I hate to say it, is a really good head coach, and he's getting a lot of resources at LSU, more NIL money, more donor money. I mean, money's everything, and LSU is in a good place right now. It's not really a very glorious job. It's more of a better name on the outside than it
Yeah.
is on the inside. But I say Lane Kiffin, if anybody could coach at LSU right now in 2025 or 2026, it would be Lane Kiffin. So I feel like LSU is in good hands and has a pretty bright future with Lane Kiffin. And I think the portal is going to get really nasty this when it opens.
Oh yeah.
I think they're about to change rules on it, but when this portal opens again, it's going to get very nasty, and it's just going to be kind of weird to see who goes where, depending like on all these head coaches, like James Franklin going to VTech, Alex Scholes going to Auburn. I'd see like probably 20 players from USF are going to go to Auburn. It's just like it's going to be a very big mess, and we probably have
Yeah,
never going to seen anything like this before, just because we have so many good head coaches in their own type of transfer portal.
yeah. I agree. I think it's going to be a very hectic couple of months here in the transfer portal, but I do think overall, I do love John Summerall to Florida. If you look at his history, all he's done is win. He's made 4 straight conference championships in the group of 5. I think he's going to get a good pool of talent to work with. And I think what's really important is the coaching staff he puts around him uh, and his guys. But I do think John Summerall, I think I like, I really do like that pick. And then Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas, I don't like it. I don't think it's very flashy. I don't think it's. I don't know. I just think Memphis hasn't been really that great. And there's nothing really special. I feel like about Ryan Silverfield
I
compared.
felt the same way. That isn't a very flashy like job. Arkansas isn't a big like blue blood like big job to have, but it's just like I think we could have gotten well not we. I think they could have gotten a lot better. Um
Yeah,
and I'm surprised that I look he had Dan Lanning leaving. I know he at least got a call from one of these schools, and it would make so much sense. But honestly, I think in the next couple of years we see Tony Elliott steer away from Virginia. That could
dude.
happen.
Tony Elliott, he's a ball
Tony
coach.
Tony Elliott is a ball coach, and I will say that man loves Virginia, but I think some money will start talking to him, and he'll end up at one of these places. Who knows? He might end up at Penn State, and I think that Penn State job is absolutely terrible. If I have to do say so myself, James Franklin honestly was that program. I know he can get over the hump and win meaningful games, but Penn State now has nothing. A mid season fire with no backup plan, and I feel like that is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean it's the worst case scenario. I feel like for Penn State, they fired early, and then they haven't hired a coach. I don't know what they're doing. Now the talk of the town's Matt Campbell, and I'm kind of expecting him to sign an extension now too with the Iowa State, just because that's what it's been. I feel like every single coach that they've tried to get after has just kind of denied wanting to go there. And you look at their recruiting class, I think there's a bunch of FCS schools who are ahead of them. So because
There is, and I feel
there's
like
not a
what if we
coach.
get a situation where Kalen DeBoer doesn't get a playoff? He goes 2 years like without the playoff, and what if they're waiting on Kalen DeBoer to get out and go to Penn State? Because I feel like if Kalen DeBoer goes 2 seasons without a playoff, the state of Alabama is not forgiving. Their fan base and their athletic department needs a playoff, and 2 years without the playoff is unheard of there. And they're not really. I feel like Alabama fans would rather be wrong about Wait, oh my god, I just blanked. They would rather be right about Kalen DeBoer being terrible than be wrong and he be like elite and better than Coach Saban. I just feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think whoever they go for, I think it's better than what they got right now because they ain't got nobody. So it's like, I mean, they just have to find a coach. Because what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to pull a lot from the transfer portal, and that's really boom or bust. And most of the time, it's bust.
Yeah, I
So
mean the transfer portal is a huge gamble. You can get skill players there. I mean, you can find generational talent in the transfer portal, but you cannot build a team and build a culture. Just you can't get 50 players from the portal. It just won't work.
yeah, I agree. Well, that will put us to our last segment of the day, and that is our picks for this week. We've only got 8 games to go over, I believe. One, two, three, four. No, we got 9. We got 9 games to go over. Apologies. But anyway, I'm pulling it up right now. Here are our picks right here. Here we go. Didn't pick any last week, but we're back this week. Uh,
We've been
I will.
slacking, dude. We've been
We have
slacking.
been. We've been slacking, but it's okay. We're back, and we are better than ever. We're gonna start out with Troy versus James Madison. CJ, who do you got?
I'm just gonna pick James Madison. That's a no-brainer. Troy has been very bad for the past like 3 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna go James Madison too. They need to win this game to have any
They have
sort of
a
hope
playoff
of it.
spot right here.
Yep, and they're a couple, just a couple bad breaks away or good breaks away from them making the playoff. So, uh, interesting matchup in the Conference USA Championship: Kennesaw State versus Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State FCS 2 years ago. Now they have a chance to win the Conference USA title. CJ, who do you got?
Give me Kennesaw State.
I'm trying to figure it. I'm just gonna say Kent State. I can't. I don't know. I forgot how to spell Kennesaw. My bad. I'm gonna go Jacksonville State. Just to be different than CJ.
But say just to mix it up. I mean, this is a toss-up. I'd rather lean
This
Kennesaw
is
State.
now a big matchup here. This is guaranteed for a playoff spot. North Texas at Tulane. Who do you got here, CJ?
I think North Texas punches their ticket. I think Tulane's been a little bit overrated. I can't lie. They had their beginning of the season, midseason hype. They met face to face with some G5 giants, and they kind of folded a little bit. So
Boom. I agree with you. I think Drew Mestemaker's going to light it up in this one.
600
Anyway,
yards, dude. Ain't nothing to sniff at.
UNLV at Boise State, uh, or UNLV versus Boise State. Who do you got here?
UNLV is like 10-2, right?
Yep, they are.
I think Boise State's like 8-4. Give me UNLV.
Okay. I believe in Dan Mullen and this UNLV team, this rascal group of transfers. Give me UNLV here. And next up, we've got the MAC championship. Miami of Ohio at Western Michigan. Who do you got here, CJ?
Give me Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
I think a trend we see with these G5 teams, like you see like one will make the playoff like 1 year because they have like one outlying player, and then
Mm-hmm.
they never have that again for probably another like 7 years. But like the only two consistent teams like we have really in the G5 are I'd say JMU, hopefully North Texas for the next couple of years, and then it was App State, but App State's kind of had that fall off since. But
Yep.
dude, JMU has been a
Trench
very consistent G5.
the transfer portal's made it a lot harder, I will say.
It had, and I feel like if it wasn't so dominant now, we'd still see those three G5 teams still lighting it up.
Yep. Next up, we've got the Big 12 championship, BYU versus Texas Tech. Who do you got, CJ?
Jeez. Give me the Mormons.
Ooh,
Actually, no,
wow.
no, 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 no. Give me
No, no,
Texas
no, no,
Tech.
no.
No, give me Texas
Oh,
Tech.
oh,
Mormonism is not good. Give me Texas Tech.
wow. You just made a statement. Uh, I don't care for either team, but I'm going to go Texas Tech because I think they're better. And I like Baron
That's
Morton.
what I say too.
I like this Texas Tech run attack. I think BYU, if they were able to win this game, it would have to be through the ground game, and I just don't think they're going to do that.
I just feel
So
like BYU's offense can't last. They don't stay on the field that long, but they don't move the ball that well. So it's just gonna be like
yeah,
it's like
I
them versus a
agree.
brick wall on offense each time.
Yeah, BYU can't last. I think, I think it's if you watch the last game, it was a complete beatdown from Texas Tech. So it's going to be interesting to see what their defense does, but also how their offense responds from last game because I think BYU has improved, kind of like I said before, a lot from the last time they played, but
I mean, dude, that last matchup was pretty brutal.
it was.
And I wanted to pick the upset here because of that last, but I just can't. BYU is
Yeah.
just so stagnant.
Yep. Anyway, next up we've got the ACC championship, Duke versus UVA. CJ, who do you got here?
Give me Duke. Give me Duke.
Wow.
Give me
Okay.
Duke. You know what?
No way.
These tickets are $40, guys. Should we go? It's
I
8
think we
p.m.
should.
game.
8 p.m. game.
I
Should
I
we?
don't mind
I'm
going. I
I'm
honestly don't
debating on
mind
going.
going.
We'll have a discussion after this, and we'll sit and we'll decide. Okay.
We'll get Trent on the phone and we'll see if we're gonna go. But I honestly I wouldn't hate it. In the past, I think for the past like 3 years we've watched the college conference championship day all from like the comfort of Trent's basement, and we have like a quad split screen like on a
Yeah.
movie theater screen for the past like couple of years. But this might be the time we go something different.
I don't know.
Or honestly, we could do the quad split until it gets to like 5:30 or
We could
6 and then leave.
we could tailgate.
We could tailgate this. It'll be cold, but we could tailgate this.
We'll see. But I'm gonna go Virginia. I did predict them to beat Duke in my projection, so it kind of be stupid for me to pick for or Duke here. But I think this is a very interesting game that could have ramifications. Bama versus Georgia, SEC championship, 4 o'clock. Who do you got here, CJ?
Just give me Georgia. I feel like just because Gunnar Stockton is just so poised, and he runs his offense a lot better than I think Ty Simpson would his Alabama offense.
Yeah,
And it's just like the uncertainty we have with Alabama's offense, like Ryan Williams being now like a fourth option almost at receiver. And it's not really like a bunch of like consistent playmaking from the outside, I'd say. So
yeah,
give me Georgia.
yeah.
And
I'm
their
going
elite
Georgia
defense
here.
as well.
I'm getting Georgia here too. I think they've improved throughout the season, and also Jam Miller's questionable. I think that's going to be very important to look at as as you kind of come into this game because Alabama's run attack is just not great at all, and I think that's going to be a key for them to win this game is if they can run the ball, kind of like I said. So, yeah, give me Georgia here. And the final game, 1 versus 2, Indiana versus Ohio State. CJ, who do you got here?
We were talking about this while in Tennessee, and we were saying how Cooper was saying how this game ultimately doesn't matter because that's when we figured out about the conference championships not mattering at all, and both these teams are going to get a bye. So ultimately, the game doesn't matter. It matters for us though because it matters about my record. So I'll give me LSU, and I think this game could go in either way. But I feel like OSU is just so dominant on the offensive side of the ball. Julian saying so accurate. I feel like if just like with a good game plan, OSU wins. Like six
Yeah,
times out of 10.
I'm gonna disagree with you. Just for I don't know to be different. I think for
And
Fernando
I feel like in this
Mendoza,
case, you can just be different just because it's teams 1 and 2.
yeah, I think Indiana could definitely win this ball game. I think Fernando Mendoza is possibly the best quarterback in college football, and I also think that Indiana's run game is better than Ohio State. So it's just really going to matter a lot what Ohio State's run defense does, which they did really well against Michigan. But it's going
But
to be interesting to see what they do against
I feel
Indiana.
like if OSU can just stick to their well-known game plan about being wide receiver getting the ball in space, letting their playmakers work, quick screens, dumping into the flat,
Yeah,
quick slants, one-on-one go balls with no safety help on the backside, like just stuff like that, like finding the weak side and like cover 6, just like stuff like that, and they just always find ways to win games. So I feel
yeah,
like with Julian Tatum being as accurate as he is, I feel like this is just kind of their game to lose. But honestly, Fernando Mendoza's this is QB 1 and 2 playing each other, or 1A, 1B if you want to call it that. So
yep.
whoever wins this game probably wins the Heisman.
Well,
So
I believe it's going to come down to who outcoaches the other team. I think uh, you know
this is
the play
this
call
is
sheet's
all
going to be very
scheme.
important.
This is
Mhm.
all
Yep.
scheme. I feel like Ohio State definitely has like a more superior roster in certain positions. Definitely at the receiver position and probably in the defensive back position. But in the front seven of both sides on the ball, I feel like, well, besides one outlier linebacker for Ohio State, I feel like this game is pretty evenly matched.
Yep. I agree. Well, that will conclude us for our picks, and that'll kind of conclude us for the live show. CJ, anything else you want to add?
Uh, Sorry I was late, but still fun. Uh, I don't know where Trent is. He's probably eating. Who
He's eating
knows?
charcuterie board.
Yeah, eating a charcuterie board and his mom cooked. Or I don't know if you have any viewers, but thank y'all for watching. And
Shout out Trish. Shout out I don't know. Shout out Todd. Shout
yeah,
out
shout out
Reed.
Todd
Shout out anybody. Put your name in the comments. I'll shout you out here in these
and
last
shout out
couple
Michelle. Shout
seconds.
out Charlie. You know what? Shout out Tanner. Shout out Tristan. Why not? Shout out Jim.
Oh, Stuart Valentine 6'7".
Gosh,
Golly. Goats. Thank you, Stuart.
we appreciate it, Stuart.
Shout out A.L. Brown. Shout out Charlotte. Shout out ACC.
Shout
It's
out
my conference.
SEC. Shout out Go Vols, and shout out to the Angels.
Shout out Diego Pavia. And stop flexing,
God.
Angels dog. We know you're whatever. Okay. Like, comment, subscribe. Um, Next week we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a live show. That one's going to be really important because we're going to get the bracket, and we're going to all make. At least I'm going to make my predictions on who's going to be the national champion. Maybe CJ, maybe Sean will do it. Maybe it'll just be me. I don't know, but it'll be fun. So make sure to stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to go check out our Notre Dame video that I posted yesterday. Make sure to stay tuned and have your noties turned on because you never know when that next video might drop. So, like, comment, subscribe. We will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Appreciate y'all.
Oh, dang it. Hold on. All right, we'll see
Dude.
y'all.